Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. My husband, Raymond, has always been a bit secretive, as many would call it, about his life before we met. He always chalked it up to him not wanting to speak about his family due to how horrible they were. We met in college, so it all made sense why he wanted to keep it on the low. Whenever he used to tell me that he got into a university states away from his family because he wanted to start new and start fresh, I would completely understand his perspective because by the way he described his family life, it made a whole lot of sense why he wanted to stay as far as he possibly could be from them. Overall, it was like he had an answer for every doubt I had, and he made it all sound so rational and reasonable that I would end up being the one feeling stupid for even having those doubts. One of the other things he made me come to terms with, at least initially, was visits he'd make to the same family he'd complained so much about twice a year. He'd been doing it since the moment we started dating, and he did so till now. But like I said, it all only made sense initially because he'd say he visited them as an obligation because they supported him financially. He'd also say that he could not take me to see them because they didn't want him to have a relationship. That was completely fair and understandable to me at the start, and I always would encourage him to do whatever felt right to him. Well, that was all until we graduated, got ourselves jobs, and he proposed to me. You guys might be thinking to yourselves that there wouldn't be any need to visit the family that he claimed to have hurt you so much once he's financially independent, right? I mean, that would just be common sense, at least in my opinion, but that wasn't the case for Raymond. He continued visiting his parents, and the fact that he didn't introduce me to them was what just hurt me the most. But Raymond, being the way he is, just put everything off as long as he possibly could, and me, being the fool I was, just continued to believe him. So much happened amidst all of it that we got engaged, got married, and even bought a house together. That is when the conversations we had about his family turned into full-blown arguments. It was heartbreaking because I had started to see through his lies. And I know I should have left there and then, but nope. I just ended up staying and hoping that he'd change just one day. Change is far from what I got, though. What I got instead was absolute heartbreak, shock, and the realization that I was deceived for the past 6 years. Something was wrong, very wrong, and it was the moment I realized when I wasn't invited to my own husband's birthday. But I guess a more appropriate statement would be saying the moment I got uninvited from my husband's birthday. So it was his 23rd birthday, and we had made a huge plan for a party, just as he requested. It was all great and exciting until Raymond started backing out from making commitments and paying for the things he wanted to do previously, just a couple of weeks before the birthday party. It started to get weird, and I had enough of his uncertainty a week before his birthday. So I sat him down to talk, where he explained to me that he didn't want a birthday party, apparently, because his family was throwing him one and all his friends from high school were going to be there. Apparently, he couldn't reject their offer, and I was uninvited because he didn't want them to know about his secret and create a scene at the party. I was dumbfounded. I was absolutely pissed off at the audacity of this man. Just the way he spoke to me, without the filters, without remorse, as if he just didn't care anymore. That was the moment I realized I had to do something. So I stayed quiet and started thinking. It didn't take long for me to realize what better way to make my husband, who didn't want me at his own birthday party, better than crashing at his parents' place. So I started doing my thing, and it didn't take a lot until I found out their address by digging a little into the traveling apps that he had installed onto his phone. I made the bookings, And trust me, guys, I spent a lot just to be able to see this glorious, yet not so glorious moment. Well, the glorious day comes and I'm at Raymond's home state. I get ready in my best outfit and I get to his parents' place. I can immediately tell this birthday is a huge deal because it seems like there's a lot of people present there. So I rang the bell and was greeted by Raymond, who looked horrified to see me. He began asking me why I was there and tried to shut the door on my face, but of course, I didn't let him have it. This wasn't my proudest moment, but I quite literally stormed inside the house and the entire room fell silent. So when they heard all the commotion, I took this moment to announce and introduce myself. I said, "Hi, everyone. This is," insert in my name and Raymond's last name, "loud and proud." Everyone already seemed shocked, so I knew I had to give them more context. So I continued and went on to say that I and Raymond had been married for the past 2 years. The entire room gasped. And honestly, I don't know what I expected to hear exactly, but nothing possibly could beat the bombshell that was dropped upon me by a woman, who I later discovered was Raymond's mom, telling me that it wasn't possible because Raymond already had a fiance and a son. That was the moment when I became quiet as the other people in the room, while Raymond rushed up and down to prove that I was lying. I wasn't, though, so I showed them all the wedding pictures I carried with myself. More panic ensued, and I could see more of Raymond trying to prove that I was some sort of crazy maniac making this stuff up. I knew I couldn't stay there another moment because the heartbreak was truly too much. So I just told Raymond to only return home to get his things and to be ready to get served with the divorce papers. I knew he was shocked at my response. Everyone could see it, and I guess that just gave everyone the confirmation that it was indeed Raymond who was lying. They all started arguing among themselves, and I just quietly shuffled out of the house, feeling extremely weird. I guess Raymond's fiancée saw me leaving and followed behind. She called out my name, and I immediately started to panic, thinking that she was going to argue with me or something, but I was surprised when she said she just wanted to give me her number in case I was in the city and wanted to talk. Now, I don't know what that means, but honestly, I don't know what anything means currently. I'm having my phone being spammed by my friends, my family, and Raymond. I guess Raymond told everyone what happened. The reaction is mixed because, of course, he probably skipped the part where he told everyone that he has a whole child and fiancé. I'm least bit surprised. All I'm thinking about right now is what to do next, especially about the number that Raymond's fiancée left me. Should I contact her? Would it be worth it? Or should I just return to the city and work on the separation process? AITA? Please help. This is not going to be a huge update. It's just been 2 days since everything went down, but since you guys were asking for an update, here it is. I was planning to leave the city the same day everything went down, but decided that if I was already here and if I had already spent so much money, I might as well stay back a couple of days more and end up talking to Raymond's fiancée. I ended up calling her and we talked for a while, where we both first sort of apologized to each other for the chaos we created. It was awkward initially, but I knew I had to push myself, and so I asked her if we could meet somewhere around the city for a talk, and she immediately replied with a yes. We haven't met up yet, though, because she's been caught up with stuff related to Raymond and moving out, so I'm just going to give her some time. We've planned our meeting for tomorrow. Currently, I'm just exploring the city by myself. I will update you guys when I do end up meeting her, though. It finally happened today. I ended up meeting Mia, Raymond's fiancée, and we had a long conversation. I'm going to cut it short for you guys, though, because we spoke a lot and it was a very long conversation. Well, It all started when Mia met Raymond when he returned to his home state from college summer vacation. Mia was new to the city and they started a casual relationship, but within 1 year of dating, Mia got pregnant and they decided to keep the baby while being in a long distance relationship because she had to get her own degree. So she lived with Raymond's family and they became her emotional support as Raymond started visiting less and less. Raymond told her that he worked a job completely different to what he actually did. So his frequent absence made sense. Raymond was able to put up this act for 6 years, and the rest of the conversation between Mia and I was just spent talking about how vile and idiotic he was, and how far he could have gotten if I didn't do what I did. Currently, according to what Mia tells me, Raymond is kicked out of the house, and as far as she knows, he's back to my city living with one of his friends. His parents didn't take an inch of his BS once he tried to tell them that the only reason why he lied was because they forced him to be with Mia when she got pregnant with his son. Hearing about all of this just made me realize how much responsibility he truly lacked. I almost felt stupid for falling for a scam of a man like him. Mia and I ended our conversation with hugs and good wishes to each other. I'm not sure if I'll ever meet Mia again, but regardless, as we went our separate ways, I know I'll always have good for her and her adorable son in my heart. Here's my last update on this post. I returned to my city a couple of days after everything went down and took a breath of relief as I saw most of Raymond's things were out of the house. I knew that he was in this city though and probably leeching off one of our friends. So I sent everyone I possibly could his and Mia's Facebook account full of pictures of him and his second life. Things blew up worse here than they did back in his home state. Everyone chewed him out a new one, including my parents. I also served him with the divorce papers and am now in the process of buying the share of his house. It's not been an easy process. Watching how everything fell apart within the matter of days is horrifying to experience, than to imagine and feel, obviously. Things have gotten so bad for Raymond that he's been planning to move cities and switching jobs. Well, I'd be lying if I said I didn't wish that things didn't turn out the way they did, but for what it's worth, I'm glad he's leaving as far away as he can. Thank you all for your amazing advice and messages, even though they might be small for you, but during a dark time like this one, it's been one of the only things that has been keeping me going. So thanks a lot and lots of love to you guys. NTA girl, that guy is a walking red flag, and I would have left him the moment he told me he wanted to marry me, but not introduce me to his family. He was very much in contact with, but at the end, I'm still glad you left him because it's better late than never. NTA, I feel terrible for you and Mia. You guys had your life uprooted for someone who could not man up and just admit that he didn't want to be a father. Truly upsetting and disgusting. My boyfriend and I have an arrangement that we've discussed and agreed upon. If either of us have people over at our place, then whoever invited the guests is responsible for everything pertaining to hosting them. This includes things like cleaning the house and getting it presentable, organizing activities, getting food prepared, cleaning up afterwards, etc. My boyfriend is always having people over, maybe 2, 3 times a month. So he's always cleaning up the house, paying for or making food, etc. As per our agreement, I don't help. I do my own thing. The most I do is say a quick greeting and then I'm off. Sometimes I won't even be in the house since I've made plans with my own friends outside the house. I don't like hosting people, so I don't invite people over. I invite my best friends over maybe a few times a year. I don't bother cleaning up the house beforehand because they don't care and I don't care. I don't prepare food. We usually order fast food or pizza, or we go out to eat. My boyfriend doesn't help, and I don't mind because that's what we've agreed upon. My boyfriend thinks it's unfair. He thinks he's doing the vast majority of the cleaning. He thinks that I need to help him out or stick around and give him some support instead of leaving all the time. He's the one who feels the need to clean before he has people over, so he does the cleaning. It's not like the house is filthy, and I'm not forcing him to clean at all. Since his friends always leave a mess afterwards, he cleans that up too, since he's the one who invited them over. I don't ask him to clean up for my friends, and I don't ask him to clean up after the messes my friends make. So to me, it's completely fair. Plus, we pay someone to come in once a week to deep clean, so he's not doing the main bulk of the cleaning, just tidying up. He's trying to change our agreement so that I have to help him clean up more, or help him cook food, or help him pay for food, or stay around and help him play host. In return, he says that he'll do the same for me. But I almost never have people over, and he has people over all the time. So I feel like the new arrangement is super one sided. Am I the a hole for refusing to play host to his friends and sticking to the original agreement? NTA, but honestly, you two might not be compatible in the long run. He seems to be resenting you for not participating, and that resentment will only grow with time. I think you should do some compromising and try to do some minor participation in social life. NTA, but don't you have any mutual friends with your boyfriend? I'm also much less sociable than my boyfriend, and occasionally I will opt to participate in activities he organizes with his friends because it's too much for me and I prefer to go out and spend that time differently. But I think it would be weird for me as his girlfriend to withdraw from his social life completely and never be around when he invites someone. While the cleaning and food prep I understand, I feel like maybe this goes deeper and your boyfriend might just want you to be more involved with the aspects of his life he finds important, like spending time with his friends. You should probably have a deeper conversation about this. My husband, 44 male, and I, 30 male, have been together for 10 years. We have adopted three amazing children together: Jamie, 7, male; Shyla, 5, female; and Carla, 2, female. Shyla is deaf, and when we adopted her, she was unable to communicate in any way because sign language had never been part of her life. I had learned ASL as a kid to communicate with a kid in my class who was also deaf, so I was able to teach my husband and help our daughter learn to communicate using it also. My in laws had desperately wanted to communicate with our daughter. I had suggested resources for them at the time, but they said they would rather learn from me. So I did my best to teach them, but they were awful during it. They argued with me, would grow frustrated if I wanted them to practice without me around, and did not like being corrected when they did something wrong. My husband told them if they were not going to treat me respectfully during it, when I was taking time out of my day to help them, then they should just pay someone to learn from. We kind of made it through unscathed. The truth is, I didn't teach them as much as I had my husband because it was so much more difficult. As our daughter is growing, I have realized how she may wish to find her birth family someday. And from the file we have on her, there may still be many of her relatives in India. So I decided with that in mind that we should learn ISL, Indian Sign Language. So she has that comfort and that option in the future. Not only that, but it is also a connection to her heritage that she deserves to have. My in laws decided they wanted to learn this also because they dislike that we can communicate something they cannot understand. I sent them on the resources and the school I was using for us. They told me I should be the one to teach them again. This is where I dug my heels in and said no. They told me I should be willing to do it for my daughter, their granddaughter, that it would be special for her to be able to communicate in both sign languages. I told them they had not shown me respect the last time, and I was not subjecting myself to it again. That the most I was willing to do is share with them the resources I had used. They told me I can't care much for my daughter then if that's all I'm willing to do. I fired back with, if they care so much about her, they can take the initiative to learn from the professionals and will think back on how they treated her father, me, when I was trying to teach them. AITA? NTA, you have your hands full teaching Shyla how to communicate. She is a priority as this is her only form of communication. Your in laws are being selfish and expect you to make them the center of attention. But this isn't about them, it's about Shyla. It's great they want to learn, but they need to do it in a class. NTA, you said it perfectly with your last comment. They can take the initiative. They can deal with the consequences of their bad behavior. It's not your responsibility to educate them. And enduring their abuse has nothing to do with being a good or loving parent. They need to be respectful and kind to you if they want to continue to be welcome in your house, period.